owner's mother bought her this doll when she was a kid. It's priced between $90 and $100. The doll is special. It was made in the 1940s and is not something you'd find in a regular store. It's a French doll from the company Rabbery and Delfaux, marked R3D on the back. 3 means she's about 25 to 26 inches tall. Her face is stunning, with realistic eyes and lovely lips. French doll lovers adore her pale complexion and delicate features. She even has pierced ears and a gorgeous mohair wig. Her body is made of composition and wood, typical of French dolls from the 1880s.
She has a beautiful face. These dolls do not always appear beautiful to the beholder.
She is dressed in an antique outfit with intricate lace and a matching bonnet. She might need a little cleaning, but overall, the condition is great and valued between
$4,500 and $5,500.
Well, that's excellent.
There are many legends in many sports, but not many come as close as Walter Johnson in baseball. Well, today's guest gives us a peek into a legendary All-Stars watch that was given to Walter in 1910.
After a rather strange series of ball games between this so-called All-Star team that he was pitching for.
The man is a living legend who went on to be inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame. As we can see here, the back of the clock seems to be made from gold, owing to its brown color. We also have a Philadelphia Athletics logo, which was the team Walter belonged to at the time. This watch is a symbol of unity in sports because it was given to Walter for participating in an All-Stars team, and so it is worthy to be valued at.
As a gold watch from this era, and there are a lot of them out there, the watch is probably worth about $300 to $500 without that particular engraving, without that particular enameling. So it really adds something special to the watch. Everything is going for it, the provenance, everything. I wouldn't insure this watch for anything less than $50,000.
Okay. Well, that's impressive.
Not many designers can think out of the box, but this chess set by Paul Lobel is a work of art from the heavens. We can immediately see how detailed the chess set is, as it depicts a real chess set with soldiers, a queen, pawn, rook, and king.
Well, you've mentioned who it's by, and it is by Paul Lobel.
Yes.
The famous American modernist designer.
Right.
His first big hit was really in 1934.
The figures in the set have been created with silver, and this is evident by the shine in the piece. This chess set was made to model after another design called The Imagery of Chess.
Several very important surrealist artists exhibited chess sets, chess pieces, chess tables, or images relating to chess.
And it was created likely in the 1950s. We can also notice that the pieces rest on top of a glass above a teak and brass checkerboard pattern. As this was a model from another original piece, it also exudes originality, and it is surely worth a hefty sum of,
I think today, a very reasonable auction estimate, and I think this is conservative, would be $25,000 to $35,000.
That would be very nice. That would be lovely.
The spirit of the Southwest comes alive more looking at the beauty of this piece. Given to the guest by her mother, this piece is called the Zuni Fetish Necklace. With its intricately carved fetishes representing animals and figures that hold special meaning in Zuni culture. The fetishes range from bears and frogs to eagles and many other birds, which is quite a remarkable grouping of animals.
They're all animals of the natural world that would be in the Zuni world.
In addition to the remarkable set of materials used, there's a spondylus shell, jet, turquoise, coral showcasing the brilliance of the artist Lika Deyus, who used his extraordinary skill to establish himself as a master carver and helped popularize Zuni fetish carvings.
The little beads are called hishi. Those are shell beads. They're hand-drilled, and that's the little connections between all of the fetishes.
The connection between this piece and the rich heritage of the Zuni people adds to its value, and it's deemed to be worth,
I think on a retail basis, this would sell for about $3,500.
My gosh.
You've kept it in good shape. You want to continue to keep it in good shape.
I've tried to take very good care of it.
Not many people know about Native American history, but today's guest gives us a deep dive into their history with this Navajo silver concho belts. Navajo people are a type of Native American people, and they used concho belts as a piece of jewelry, as saddles, clothing, or as belts. These ones, however, are of Spanish origin.
And so when the Spanish, they were here by the late 1500s, they were here in quantity. There was a lot of people from Spain here in the 1600s, and in the 1700s, this was New Spain.
We have here a silver buckle used as the handle of the belt, and we can notice that the concho belt is oval. The design of this concho is visually appealing and expertly made. For a wonder that houses such a shiny silver buckle that provides a firm fit, this elegant piece auctions at a hefty price of
The bottom one, if it came up for sale at a good auction these days, I think it would bring somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000. If it came up at a public auction, I would think it would bring $6,000 to $8,000.
Well, I've got a grandson that's going to be born in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So he gets those.
That's a bigger deal than the belts.
Yeah, it is.
Congratulations.
Manufactured between 1908 and 1917, this piece is a cigarette case. It originally belonged to the guest's grandmother, who was a local Russian girl.
Well, I can see that there's a clear European connection here. It is in fact a Russian silver cigarette case.
Unlike standard cigarette cases, which are often made of materials like metal or plastic, this piece features intricate designs and is adorned with precious gems such as diamonds, rubies, and peridot. Also, the case was crafted by skilled artisans, which is considered a symbol of wealth and sophistication. Similarly, it has a peacock and swirl drawn on it, which is glamorous and sinewy. In addition to that, inside the case is a mark that depicts the manufactured date. The beauty of the piece, coupled with the practicality of the case for storing cigarettes, makes it stand out, with an estimated value of
Estimated to sell for between $2,000 and $3,000.
Oh, get out of here.
Oh, really? Yeah.
one for the ages. That's what today's guest brings to the show. A piece of German melodious music. That's what today's guest brings to the show in the form of a violin. Called a Eugen Meinl Manukurin violin,
that says Eugen Meinl, Markterkirchen, 1927, copy of a Stradivarius.
these types of violin are manufactured in Germany as a symbol of German elegance. As their name symbolizes, these violins were made by Eugen Meinl Manukurin, a place where expertly made violins were created by Germans. We see its manufacturer branded inside the violin's wood, and that the wood is a high-quality, shiny piece of wood. We can also see that the strings are high quality for maximum sound production. For a piece that is rare and one that represents the peak of German music brilliance, this violin fetches the price of.
So these days, this violin would have a retail value of $7,500.
Wow.
So your family did well.
Yeah, I thought it might be worth $25 when I came in.
That's not bad.
The guest inherited this lamp from their godmother, who cherished it and kept it in her living room filled with collectibles. As a child, the guest was fascinated by its tree-like appearance, but lacked knowledge about its origin, authenticity, or value. Well, this was a Philip Handel lamp dating back to the 19th or 20th century. Philip Handel was a famous lamp manufacturer in Meriden, Connecticut in 1885, later moving to New York around 1893. Handel lamps are still very famous for their unique design and craftsmanship. This particular lamp featured a painted metal base with a wooden scene in low relief and an interior painted shade with a chipped ice finish. Both the base and the shade bear the Handel mark, with the shade also displaying the production number and the artist's initials. Impressed by the lamp's quality and craftsmanship, the appraiser estimated its auction value to be,
I think a good auction estimate would be $8,000 to $12,000.
That's phenomenal. That's great.
The guest brought in a fascinating sewing clamp that they had inherited from their aunt. While the guest initially wasn't sure of its purpose, it was quickly identified as a beautifully decorated sewing tool. The clamp would have been attached to the side of a table, providing a convenient and organized location for various sewing implements. It featured designated areas for needles, thread, and even a small built-in tape measure. The true significance of the sewing clamp, however, was revealed to be its material and origin. It is an early example of turnbridge ware, a type of decorative woodwork known for its intricate marquetry, which is the inlay of wood pieces to form a design. This particular clamp, crafted in the Regency period between 1810 and 1815, was specifically designed as a souvenir from the town of Tunbridge Wells. Considering its Regency-era origin, its rarity, and its connection to Brighton, which is a popular Regency resort town, the estimated value of the sewing clamp is
easily £1,000.
Goodness me.
The Texas Declaration of Independence is a cornerstone document in Texan history, signifying Texas's freedom from Mexico. Around 1,000 copies were originally printed in 1836. However, in the 1970s, a surge in the number of these declarations offered for sale sparked suspicion. Here, the one on the left is the original, while the one on the right is the fake. Tom Taylor, a book dealer, noticed the influx and upon closer inspection identified discrepancies between the new copies and the known originals. This led him to investigate further and ultimately expose a counterfeiting ring. Taylor, acting ethically, even returned money to those who had unknowingly purchased fakes from him. One key giveaway of a counterfeit declaration is a spelling error.
And there is a spelling error in the fake.
The telltale spelling error.
The originals were also smaller in size compared to the forgeries. Owning a genuine copy today would set you back a hefty sum. Estimates suggest a value.
In a public auction, it would easily bring more than $1 million.
Ironically, the fake declarations, despite being exposed, hold a value of around.
And I probably wouldn't mind paying maybe up to $1,000 for one.
But more of a novelty than an actual collectible.
Yeah.
The presenters brought in a collection of memorabilia that belonged to their mother, Helen Varco, an Olympic swimmer who competed in the 1932 Los Angeles Olympics. Helen's impressive achievement was a bronze medal win in the 4x100 meter relay. The collection offered a glimpse into Helen's life as an Olympian. It included a 1932 Olympic Games cloth blazer badge adorned with souvenir pins, perhaps acquired during her Olympic shopping excursions. A personal diary documented exciting social gatherings, including parties with renowned film stars like Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford. A photograph captured the entire swimming team on board the steamship Majestic, the vessel that transported them across the Atlantic to compete for athletic gold. Despite the guests' mother's aquatic prowess, neither of them learned to swim.
Neither of us swim. No. Neither of you swim.
Not very well.
Yet your mother was an Olympic swimmer, and neither of you swim.
We were brought up.
Due to its historical and sentimental significance of the collection, its monetary value is.
If you sold this today as a collection, the likelihood is you would get somewhere in the region of £1,500 to £2,000 for it.
The guest brought in a quilt made by his grandmother, who lived in Indiana. The remarkable patchwork quilt, approximately 100 years old, was in exceptional condition. The appraiser marveled at the exquisite craftsmanship of the quilt, highlighting its rare embroidery on wool background. Each stitch, meticulously done on wool, added to its exceptional rarity. The guest and appraiser discussed various elements of the quilt, including depictions of animals like an Egyptian ibis and a platypus. Additionally, the quilt also exhibited intricate stitchings of various objects, such as knives, forks, spoons, and scissors. The guest explained how they preserved the quilt by storing it in a cedar-lined chest, away from lights and moths. However, the appraiser recommended using proper preservation techniques. Recognizing its historical importance, the appraiser proposed an intriguing value for this remarkable piece.
I want you to go home and insure it for $10,000.
Wow.
The guest recounted purchasing a carved barometer from a jewelry store for $1,000. The barometer featured a dial calibrated to predict changes in barometric pressure, presumably used in a French setting due to the French language on the dial. The casing of the barometer showcased black forest carving, typical of items from the 1880s. Despite the misconception of being entirely handmade, the carvings were partly made using manufacturing methods and then hand-carved. This particular piece displayed a more pleasant figure than some found on such clocks. The appraiser also noted the barometer was signed by a carver named P. Michael. Given the popularity of such carvings, what would the appraiser estimate the potential value of this rare item to be?
I think that this piece in a retail setting is probably closer to $4,000 today, as this sort of carving is very popular in some circles, particularly in Europe.
Just a glance at this piece, and it would evoke a sense of nostalgia and childhood memories. Made in the early 1930s, this Buddy L toy bus is a delight to the eye. An interesting fact about this model is its durability. They are made of sheet steel, like an automobile, and they are baked on enamel.
They even have a frame underneath like a real automobile.
Also, underneath it is a frame like a real automobile, and it's rideable with a spare tire. Looking at this piece, you could see all the original decals on the door, front and back. In addition to that, it has 22 individual seats and 2 bench seats present. Finding a Buddy L in this condition is very hard to do, which makes the piece of high worth, with an estimated value of
10 times that, it's $10,000. Easily.
This bust?
$10,000 easily.
Oh my land.
One can't help but be captivated by this vibrant oil-on-canvas painting, brought to the show by this guest whose father was a friend of Hong Chu. Hong Chu studied at the San Francisco Institute of Art and went on to the school's highest academic honors. He worked as a freelance artist and also taught in a number of reputable institutions, including YMCA, and he made this remarkable oil painting in 1981. The guest was captivated the first time she set eyes on this painting when she visited Ho Chu's studio in Hawaii, and she bought it immediately. At the back of the painting is an inscription of how much was paid for the painting at the time, and at the bottom right corner is written Hong Chu's name. Demand for his work has been steadily going up over the years.
Do you remember what you paid for the painting?
We paid $1,000.
Hence, it is well expected that this piece, belonging to such an exceptional and skillful artist, and the fact that his works are highly sought after, would sell at auction for
Very conservative auction estimate would be $40,000 to $60,000.
Wow. Oh, thank you, Uncle Hunter. That's great. Thank you very much.
This remarkable letter, written by the guest's grandfather in 1865, is a first-hand account of his experience at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. on the evening of April 14th,
the day of the assassination.
President Lincoln. The letter describes how the grandfather and his friends went to the theater to see Ulysses Grant, as they had heard he would be there with President Lincoln. Written on April 21st, 1865, the letter details the events of that fateful night, including the incorrect details provided by Harper's Weekly regarding the position of President Lincoln and
that the assassin fired with his left hand underlined.
The letter vividly describes Booth's actions after the shooting, including his escape and the shouting of "Sic semper tyrannis" and "The South is avenged." Despite being a family heirloom, detailed account of a major event in American history make this letter valuable to collectors. A conservative estimate at auction for this remarkable letter would be
a conservative estimate at auction would be $10,000 to $15,000.
Not too often do we see a precision instrument like this piece. Designed for navigation and keeping time at sea, this piece is a marine clock. Today's guest, who was a Navy officer, collected it from her aunt. The clock was a ship's watch system created for the Navy, which tells an officer when a particular watch is ending and when the next watch is going to be set.
In the first hour of the watch, if it started at 12, the first half hour of the watch, it would actually strike once at 12:30. And then on the hour, it would strike twice.
What's interesting about this piece is that it was made more like a watch than it was like a clock. It had a jeweled movement. The plates were a damascene, and it only had one winding arbor. Also, the clock doesn't have a pendulum, and the case is made of brass, and is cast in an old patinaed fashion. Because this piece has a shared history with the Navy, it's a rare gem that would likely be worth
This clock in a retail setting, a retail shop, probably selling the $3,000 price range.
Wow, wow, I am amazed.
Guest's mother gave her this pottery, which she inherited from a friend in Palo Alto. In 2003, a fire destroyed 95% of the guest's belongings, but this pottery survived. Dark charcoaling on it is from the smoke of that fire. It reflects the durability of ceramic art. This piece, made around 1905 to 1910 near Chicago, exemplifies the arts and crafts movement. The arts and crafts movement, which began in Europe in the mid-19th century, found new life in America, thriving in Boston's innovative embrace.
Only hand workmanship, no use of the machinery. They were rigorous about what was the arts and crafts movement.
It boasts a futuristic rocket ship-like form with buttresses. This piece, marked with a T for TECO, showcases the iconic matte green glaze of TECO Pottery, stopped working around 1920.
And you can always tell if a pottery dealer is somebody who was selling pots in the 70s because they call it TECO. The people who are selling this from the 80s on, they know to call it TECO.
Porous nature of this matte glaze not only lends it a modern finish, but also retains smoke. TECO made many forms, but this one is a standout arts and crafts piece. This captivating piece could bring in,
I would estimate this one somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 at auction, and it would probably bring somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000. It's a really handsome pot, and I appreciate you bringing it in.
Oh, thank you very much.
On the show today, we have a rare semi-translucent amber carving purchased by the guest in London in 1992. This figurine is indeed made out of amber carvings that came in vogue in the late 17th century around Gdansk and Königsberg, modern-day Poland and Russia, respectively. There's an amber room in Dresden that houses similar amber features. The base of this particular amber list showcase is not its original one. Despite its base not being authentic, the demand for such amber pieces is very high in the market, and this piece would easily sell at auction for,
I think a piece like this at auctions today we'd be looking at $5,000 to $7,000.
What a pleasant surprise.
What we have here is an educational tool in the form of a teaching tool. The guest bought it at a digger garage.
And the gentleman asked me basically what I'm looking for, and I said pretty much anything old.
They are wooden models to help students learn in geometry about volume. This piece comes in different shapes like cones, spheres, and cylinders. Not only is it educational, but it's decorative too. They were invented in the latter part of the 19th century by Albert Kennedy, who had filed a patent for one of his objects. It comes with great sculptural quality and conical model, which are in beautiful maple. A piece like this that was designed to make teaching simplified would auction for
somewhere in the range of $1,500 to $2,000.
Holy smokes, are you kidding me? Wow.
Crafted with the elegance of ancient artisans and the sophistication of modern design, this vase is not just a piece of decor, it's a timeless reflection of artistry and refinement. It was designed by J&L Lobmeyer, which is a glassware company from Vienna, Austria. During the 19th century, the Austrians and the French started doing pieces in the Persian style. This led to Lobmeyer doing a large number of pieces in this style, this vase included.
So Lobmeyer and Brocard, two houses, did probably the largest number of pieces of this style.
For instance, the shape of the vase is a traditional Persian shape. Also, the vase is more monochromatic with its handles and Persian designs too. Another notable feature is the fact that instead of having just flowers and geometric designs, there's the giraffes and storks design. Regardless, this vase isn't just a beautiful piece, but a statement of refined taste and appreciation for artistry, which is highly valued at.
In a retail store, I would put a value of, conservatively, $20,000 to $30,000 on this piece.
Thank you very much.
Guest found the football in their storage facility while cleaning it out about 30 years ago. The football is from the Green Bay Packers' 1962 NFL championship year.
Footballs from this era are mostly stamped. It's rare that you see an actual hand-signed football. It's the Duke, and it's his conference champions 1962 NFL Western Division.
It's signed by 10 Hall of Famers from the team, including Vince Lombardi. Jordan, one of the greatest defensive players, add significant value to this ball. It also features signatures from Jim Taylor, Bart Starr, Paul Hornung, Ray Nitschke, and Jim Ringo. Lombardi's and Jordan's signatures are equally rare and valuable, enhancing the football's value.
I would place a value of $3,000 to $5,000 on this ball for an auction estimate. That's right. Now, you know what I would say? I would say touchdown. Can I spike it?
No.
Many types of art are known to be exquisite pieces, but not many can spark a nostalgic memory in the mind of its viewers. This Edward Hopper etching artistic painting is part of the few that give a feel of bliss and exudes magnificence. Called the Cat Boat, this detailed painting shows a man on a boat and to some extent depicts the sheer courage of a man whilst on a voyage trip.
I don't think of it as a famous picture or anything like that. I think of it as a picture that I grew to love and care for as a child right up until my...
We can feel that there is an emotional connection with the man in the drawing, and only a few artists in the world can confidently boast that. As a painting that depicts the resilience of man, and as detailed as it is, it's no wonder it auctions at
an auction value of $250,000 on it.
Passed down from her ancestor to her, this Snow White watercolor depiction is a perfect combination of expertise, elegance, and attention to detail. For a piece that represents one of the most famous movies of all time, the artist does a top-notch job. We can see the painting is made from watercolor and ink.
Number one, it is an original. Number two, it is a watercolor. It's actually ink and watercolor. And it's a well-known artist by the name of Gustav Tengren.
And is drawn by expert illustrator Gustav Tengren. Perhaps what's most surprising about this painting is that it was created before the movie. And this is confirmed by the stickers at the back of the painting. For an artist like Tengren, who was known as a master and was also responsible for so many other iconic paintings, this piece would fetch a hefty valuation of...
Auction estimate would be in the $20,000 to $25,000 range.
What? For real? $20,000 to $25,000.
It's a treasure.
Wow.
Painters are known to be accurate communicators through their paintings, but this Peter Moran painting is an exemplary piece of work. We can see the signature at the bottom of the painting and that the edges of the painting are done in an exquisite manner. This painting depicts cows taking a drink from a stream, and this likely represents a sight that the painter saw and was amazed by. Another amazing fact is that the painter was fascinated by animals, so this also explains the inspiration behind the painting. The painter's elder brother, Thomas Moran, has been known to create a painting of the Grand Canyon, which is a popular tourist attraction center.
The Grand Canyon and lots of wonderful western landscapes. And his record price is almost $5 million at auction.
As this painting was drawn by someone whose family history is full of artists, and with him being responsible for countless other magnificent pieces of painting, this painting auctions at nothing less than...
Do you have any idea what it might be worth?
No.
Any guess?
We were guessing maybe $800. We didn't know. No clue.
I think this might bring about $25,000 if it were sold in a retail gallery.
Oh my gosh. Well, that sure beats $800.
The first thing you'd notice when you see a sculpture such as this one is that it is creepy. But to many sculpture lovers, this is a work of art. Created by Robertcumston, an expert sculpture maker, this is confirmed by the signature, which bears the creator's name at the base. This sculpture is incredibly innovative because it combines the use of metals to make folk art sculptures.
There's been an American tradition of farmers taking scrap metal, basically bits of old farm implements, and making some kind of folk art sculpture out of them for a long time.
We can see it depicts a woman with metallic type of hair and heels. As a piece that depicts the human physiology and quality itself, and as innovative as it is, this sculpture would definitely fetch a price of...
Well, some people consider that age gives something value. She's not that old. She's probably no more than about 25 or 30 years old. The quality of the work is so good. My initial feeling was at least $2,000 or $3,000 for the single sculpture. I've had people here, very respected colleagues, as appraisers say, in a good show, this could be over $20,000. To give you a retail price that I think would be fair at a good show, a good quality show where this kind of thing could present. I see it at least $5,000 and perhaps as much as $7,000.
Talk about creativity, innovative approach, and sheer brilliance. This piece has it all. It was painted by the American sculptor and painter Donald Batchelor. whose work was noted for childlike imagery and thematics. He has his artwork in various museum collections, including the Whitney Museum of American Art. What is unique about this piece is that the paper was stained with tea, which adds a nice dynamic surface for the black ink faces to be painted on. Looking at the painting, you can see that the faces have different emotions, showcasing the caricature of the artist's imagination.
A pretty easy office piece for either of us. A little reminiscent of the Scream with the faces here on the left, so I thought perhaps it was worthwhile.
A piece like this, which showcases the contemporary art world, is a beauty to behold and would easily sell for.
If we were estimating this work at auction, we would estimate it at $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, wow. That is quite impressive for a $2 investment, I have to say.
When it comes to wooden stools, most are boring, but this piece is quite the opposite. Made in Ghana by two notable tribes, the Ashanti and the Fanti, the stool was mostly for tribal use. This piece was commissioned from 1910 to 1930 by a colonial for a Fanti carver to carve this for him. Surprisingly, it wasn't for tribal use, but for prestige and status.
So ironically, you have a colonial commissioning a piece for exactly the same reason as a prestige piece for his home.
Only the wealthy could have this in their homes, as it denotes class. In African art, we have decorative pieces, we have reproductions, fakes, and folk art. But since this piece was commissioned for sale, it's not a fake. The elephant figure is a symbol of power, and it has inlaid eyes. Because the wear pattern on the seat signifies the African art culture, this price is valued at nothing less than...
So we have a terrific piece here, beautifully carved. In my gallery, this would be $600 to $900.
Okay.
This fascinating rattle, originally belonging to the guests' great-great-grandparents, was given to them around the turn of the century when they lived in Port Townsend. The rattle is believed to be ceremonial and was used by the Tishmarian tribe, located in Prince Rupert, British Columbia, close to the Alaska border. It's specifically a chief's rattle, known as a raven rattle, featuring intricate carvings depicting the raven.
And we have a human figure sitting on the back of the raven. The raven is the creator of man. And we have this frog going from the raven through the frog into the human figure. It's the movement of animal into man and back again.
Symbolizing the movement of animal into the man and back again. The rattle, when intact, would have contained pebbles or lead shot between its carved halves, producing a lovely sound when shaken. While the rattle's current condition is excellent, with the exception of a later added wrapping, its estimated value at auction is around...
But we would expect in the neighborhood of $15,000, $18,000, perhaps $20,000.
Oh my God!
This exquisite musical clock made by Thomas Wagstaff was given by the guest's English great-great-great-great-grandfather to his daughter Sarah in 1784. Thomas Wagstaff, a renowned English clockmaker born in 1724 and known for his exceptional craftsmanship,
and it was made circa 1770.
The clock features a beautiful dial signed Thomas Wagstaff, London, with a subsidiary dial for controlling the strike and a selection of 4 tunes.
The tunes are often the personal selection of your relative. They would be able to select a tune on their musical taste, so these might very well be tunes that were dear to them.
The back of the clock showcases its original cow-tail pendulum and intricate foliate engravings, with the mechanism playing on a nest of bells, all in exceptional original condition. Musical clocks with complications like this are rare and highly sought after by collectors, making this clock's retail value estimated at around...
would certainly be around $20,000 to $25,000.
This remarkable piece holds a unique story, originating from a pen pal named Putty in England, who had a connection to the Beatles through her brother's band in Liverpool. Sent to the guest as a generous gift, the item is a program from a Beatles show. This remarkable piece is autographed by all 4 members of the band.
And once again, you have John Lennon, George, Ringo, and Paul. Now, it's pretty amazing to find 4 authentic Beatles signatures on one piece.
Authenticated as 100% genuine by appraisers, this piece features 3 complete sets of Beatles signatures, a rarity that is truly remarkable. Despite some folding, creasing, and taping, the value of this item at auction is conservatively estimated at
Estimate at auction would be $15,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guest brought in a mid-19th century Bergamo rug acquired from an attic of an old house while a graduate student. Bergamo is a bit of a generic term because there were a lot of different villages that had their rugs marketed in Bergamo, and they were all referred to as Bergamo rugs. It's a rug woven in a village in Turkey around 1850, and rugs from this period exhibited bolder geometric designs and employed dyes derived from natural sources. It's not as refined craft. It's more of a primitive, either made for utilitarian purposes or a less expensive piece made for the market. The use of synthetic dyes became more prevalent only towards the late 19th century. Furthermore, there have been a decline in artistic merit in rug design as they gained popularity, with later pieces exhibiting less intricate designs and a lower quality of craftsmanship. The rug, though beautiful, is in less than perfect condition. There are restoration techniques that could rectify the worn areas, reweave the fringes, and address the missing border section. However, such restoration would only be worthwhile for rugs with significant collectible value. The estimated value of the rug in its current condition was
It's worth about $2,500.
Wow.
The guest brought in a French clock, a family heirloom passed down from his wife's aunt. It is a 4-glass clock, a type also known as a crystal regulator in the United States, and possesses unique features that set it apart from more basic models. The curved glass panels and the placement of the dial with its protective bezel distinguish this clock as a higher-end variation. The clock's enameled dial featured blue Roman numerals and a decorative floral wreath, further enhancing its value. The movement itself, however, is considered standard and could be found in both expensive and basic models. The case is embellished with what appears to be diamonds, but are actually cut glass or rhinestones. Despite their age and slightly yellowed appearance, these decorative elements added to the clock's overall appeal. The case also retained a significant amount of its original gold wash, an indication of careful handling over the years. The matching gold wash on the pendulum and the decorative brass banding further contributed to the clock's beauty. Dating the clock to around 1900, its value is placed at a much higher range than standard 4-glass clocks. While standard models might fetch around $400 or $500 after restoration, this unique clock held a value closer to
You probably would have to expect to write a check for somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,500 for it.
Okay, it's not too bad.
The guest brought in a mysterious elephant figurine received as a gift from a friend, which is an Asian incense burner, most likely of Japanese origin. The elephant supported a dragon on its back, adorned with a saddlecloth, another blanket, and decorative tassels. The chocolate brown surface and the gilding details pointed towards Japanese bronze craftsmanship. The sensors were traditionally used to hold incense and release fragrant smoke through the openings. While both China and Japan incorporated elephants as incense burner figures, the specific details offers clues to the origin. The chocolate brown patina and the brush stroke style of the gilding are characteristic of Japanese late Meiji period bronze work, placing the figurine's creation sometime between the 1800s and early 1900s. Another significant detail that supported the Japanese origin was the presence of Minogam, a sea turtle depicted clinging to the elephant's back. This imagery, symbolizing longevity, was more commonly found in Japanese art. The resemblance of this Japanese incense burner to 18th century Chinese censers highlights the difficulty in differentiation at times. Despite missing some elements, the overall condition of this figure was good, and at auction, the estimated value ranges from
I think that conservatively it's in the $2,000 to $4,000 range at auction. Could easily do a lot more.